Hello and welcome to the Helios blog. My name is Helios, here for another reaction video. Today, Sneako talks about children and what you should do to prepare. Let's go.
The reason she's alone is because she's difficult.
Women are not accepting the bare minimum.
Women fuck men they respect.
All the women who say things like, I'm strong, independent, I don't need no man, like, y'all impress me.
Women just gaslight each other and say what they want to hear.
With you, Myron, is that I understand, we agree that feminism has completely ruined most women in the West.
Yeah.
But the advice from the space is, instead of navigating that, instead of trying to find a good woman, get a vasectomy and then sleep with all of them and then understand their nature. Why not just understand that a lot of these women are unwifeable and then navigate around that instead, and just not spend your time and invest your energy into women that you don't even respect or like in the first place?
No, because even if you do find a traditionally conservative woman that will sit there and be a good wife,
she'll crowder you.
Huh?
She'll Steven Crowder
She
you.
can still crowder you, because the thing is, people. This is what I want guys to understand. Even if your girl loves you, whatever, and you know you guys have a relationship, everything else like that, the upside of her leaving you is so high, like she gets so much benefit, that a lot of the time women aren't going to sit there and deal with it. The duty, they're like, fuck that. I can get half his money, get the kid, get child support, live this same lifestyle, and go date someone else that's going to make me happy.
I'm not even advocating towards marriage. I'm advocating towards family creation. Well, I think it's worthwhile to get married within the church or within the mosque, and then avoid that whole legal battle. Don't give away half your money. Get married within religion. Then we can have a
conversation.
That's my point. I never said that other thing. You think I'm going the TradCon route? It's over. Like Steven Crowder's wife proved that that's going to happen. They were married when they were virgins. They were the only people, and then she still said, "You're emotionally abusing me." Garbage. That video was edited. She stole it. Women are incentivized to do it. Hakimi, she brought that up at the couch. It's not a good idea. But if you get married within a religion, and then you could give her.
There's still some states that will look at that as a marriage of the state, dude.
And child support.
We had a whole podcast with lawyers on that.
There's no escape, bro. Child support. And then, dude, once again, those states you mentioned before, if you're with her too long in the same household, that's your wife.
So don't even do it. Just give her the ceremony. Most of these women, they just want to put on a dress and they want to feel pretty. They want to take pictures.
They want.
Yeah, so in the West, marriage is extremely dangerous, right? Basically, if you get married, she's incentivized to leave you and take half your money. That's the problem with marriage in 2023. There is literally zero incentive.
The whole ceremony.
If you're actually high value, yeah, they'll do the ceremony. It doesn't mean you need to get like legally married. If you can get around that,
papers, bro.
They don't want the papers. They don't give a fuck about the papers. They just want the pictures in the wedding dress.
It's like the U.S. for
I get the ideals that you want, which is perfect. I think 100% it should be that way, but it's not, bro. It's not.
Yeah,
I know it's not, but there's better ways. My point, there's better ways to navigate it than getting a surgery that prevents you from having children. That's just not good advice. If you that's extremely black pill. That's not going to create a good future society.
I actually agree with this. I think what you should do is you should spend your 20s as a man building yourself as a man of high value, and then you're going to look for a girl to get married with. Now, the problem is this. The problem is so many girls are not marriageable at all that you're just going to get screwed, right? That's the problem. And basically, if you don't find a girl who sees you as Chad, it's done, right? So you need to become Chad, because otherwise you're going to have a very bad time in any sort of long-term relationship. There is 0 point in getting with a girl before she sees you as Chad in her eyes. No chance. You're going to get destroyed. Okay. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit all for notifications. Buy my books at bit.ly/heliosbooks. Go to my Patreon and subscribe, patreon.com/theheliosblog, and drop me a donation like Hunter M, Adrian on, Tom M, shout outs to them. Just click on more in the description. Okay, let's continue.
Here's my thing. I'm saying women are not going to concede on feminism. They're going to continue to progress. They're going to continue to chase careers. They're going to continue to be ambitious and make money. This is the future of the women. All these girls here are young. So what I'm saying is that as men, you need to acclimate to the new environment. Women prioritize money and success now more than family a lot of the times, and that's fine.
Okay.
So you got to acquiesce to that new normal.
Can I get a yes or no on this question?
Hold on, real quick. Rolo's here in the chat. He says, a lot of presumption going on today. Getting a vasectomy doesn't have to mean banging random
Right, so
chicks.
he's advocating for a vasectomy. I want to hear a yes or no, at least. Myron, like yes or no,
what?
should the men watching this get a vasectomy to become a high-value man in their 20s?
Again, I told you, it's a sliding scale on the male. If the guy makes money and he's promiscuous, having a vasectomy might be a good move for him. But if you're a dude, you're not smashing girls like that, or maybe you have a monogamous relationship, then maybe no. Just wear a condom. Don't be a retard. But it depends on the individual, man.
You don't
Because
have a hard stance on this?
No, you can't, because here's the thing with men. Men don't have the same sexual options that women do. There's a minority of men that are fucking all the girls. We know this. So you can't put the same set of rules on one set of guys as other guys, because other guys don't have the ability or the option to even get the girls.
I think it's equivalent to like having a stance on abortion. You can either be pro-life or pro-choice. You're pro-choice, for example, you're pro-choice. I'm pro-life. I don't think that people should think of abortion as a birth control option. Like,
again, so Sneako is a tradcon. That's what it sounds like to me. And it's not necessarily a bad view. It's a view. It's a traditional view. It's a good view. But again, you as a man need to be intelligent, right? If you're sleeping around when you're in your 20s and not committing to any of these girls, make sure you don't get any of them pregnant, obviously, right? It's logical. Okay.
I think a vasectomy can be as hard as that. I think it's the equivalent. It's like an abortion for men. I think you should have a hard stance on an issue like this.
You ever use a plan B? Don't like.
Yeah.
Nigga, shut up, bro.
Plan B's not abortion.
Yo,
Plan
bro,
B's not abortion.
it's pre-abortion, bro. Come on, man.
It's for the mental security,
bro,
not for the killing the
bro,
baby thing.
You funny, Sneako. You funny.
Are you really going to equate a Plan B to an abortion?
Nigga, you just said
that's not the same thing. We all know that's not the same thing. You have to go into the clinic.
Baby, Sneako.
I didn't kill no baby. I just didn't want the panic. I didn't want the text. I just wanted to go the clarity.
No vasectomy, right? Yeah. No plan Bs then.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, so you guys see what the problem is, right? If he's a tradcon, then why plan B, right? But there is something to be said about vasectomy, which is this. Basically, it's self-castration. And when you're castrated, it does affect your testosterone. I know they say it doesn't, but you psychologically knowing you can't get a girl pregnant weakens you as a man. Because that used to be a man's power, right? Man's power was that he could get a girl pregnant and he could walk and she couldn't, right? That's the old power, of course. In the modern world, if you get a girl pregnant, you can't walk and she can, right? It's all backwards now, but that's how it used to be, right? Before all of this change happened. And it does psychologically affect you when you know you can't get a girl pregnant. That is absolutely true, without a doubt. Okay, let's continue.
Oh man, that's right. I've done it in my past, but I don't advocate towards that. I would say it's probably not the best option to think of Plan B as an option.
New name is Sneakon.
Sneakon. 2023.
Sneak conservative, man.
Oh man.
What, you're not a conservative?
Here's the thing. I have conservative views on most things, but there are some things that I just have to operate on 2023 standards, bro. I wish it was 1950, Sneako. I really do, bro. I wish I could. And here's the other thing too.
I'm not saying it's 1950. I'm not going forward with the tradcon mentality. I'm saying that it's just better to avoid these women and try to.
You gotta go somewhere else.
That's
okay. Then
that's better advice than.
Cool.
It's better advice than
look, bro. Most Americans don't have passports. Let's keep it all the way 1,000. Most Americans never leave the United States.
What we tell guys.
So here's the truth, guys. The truth is this. In the West, most girls are terrible for marriage. Because most girls are terrible for marriage, there's a very low likelihood you're going to find a girl from this country, or these countries, rather, that are marriageable. High chance that they're going to be, womanist, they're going to be strong and independent, don't need no man, they're going to have 50 chads in their past, they're going to not understand their role as a woman, they're not going to want to work on themselves, they're going to want all of their cake and to eat it too. That's the chances are, that's the girl you're going to find. And if that's the case, you shouldn't get married at all. Because it's worthless. It just destroys you.
To go get their money up and get in shape. Why can't you tell these guys to get a passport?
Sneako,
if they
I agree. You can find good women in America. The problem is to find good women that actually want to be with you and with your family. Genuinely, is going to be tough. Because most men are visible.
It's true.
Yeah, we agree on that.
Absolutely true.
So we're just saying, have your options, but you need to know how to filter. And these steps that Rolo said earlier can
Okay,
lead to-
stop ducking. Hard stance. Pro or con? Yes
I'm
or
gonna
no?
give you this. As a man, you got to decide for yourself. Individual stand.
Yeah, okay. So he's not he's not committing, right? Personally, if you're asking for my opinion, I think it's a bad idea to get a vasectomy. And the reason I think it's a bad idea to get a vasectomy is that you as a man, you don't want to castrate yourself because your testosterone, your power comes from that. So the energy that you use to make life as a man, that is the same energy that's used to make value, to make wealth. And the reason that that makes sense is because that wealth is meant to be used to raise a family, you see? So you don't want to castrate yourself. So it's a terrible idea. Just make sure you understand. You can vet women, right? Based on what they say, the girl puts herself in a certain category. When she's in that category, it means she's not good for certain relationships. Some girls are just for friends with benefits. Some girls can be maybe for more. That's just how it goes. You have to spend your time building your values so that you can be the powerful, strong man you need to be in order to get a girl, the sort of girl that you actually want to raise a family. Okay, let's continue.
And goals will determine.
Advice for your audience. They really value. You guys are the #1 men's self-help podcast in the world, right?
Yeah.
I think this is an important issue to have a stance on.
I'm gonna ask you directly. So, audience, as a man, right, you have to decide for yourself, what do you want? Do you want a family, or do you want to be successful? But ultimately, what leads to what? I'm just saying, personally speaking, if you're successful, you have a better chance of getting a better family.
That's true.
And at the same time,
Absolutely.
proving Rolo's point, vasectomies do help certain men because, once again, men are horny as fuck, bro. They want to fuck bitches. So once they fuck girls, what happens with, like you said earlier, plan Bs, because things do happen. So to avoid this mistake or things happening out of wedlock, you should actually get.
I think you're looking into the vasectomy way too much.
Yeah.
He's giving advice to make it retard proof, bro.
Pretty much.
I understand that, but now I think we can go further, and I think our value system is different. I think that overall, in your life experience, the happiest state you're ever going to be in is with children, with grandchildren. I don't want to die. Like, I could be in my funeral bed and have a bunch of Lambos and watches around me, but that's not going to make me happy. I want to have my grandchildren there.
Okay.
That is the most important part of your legacy.
That's fair.
Do you agree with what's more
I agree.
important to you?
No, I agree. Having a family is good for your legacy, 100%.
Okay. So here's the thing. Actually, Sneako's hitting on some important points in this. He's hitting on some important points here. It's really funny because the girls aren't talking at all. It's just the guys talking here. But anyway, it's absolutely true that children, again, having children is your biological imperative. So if you're not having them, you're not doing what animals do. You're an animal. So you got to have them. You just got to have them in the right circumstances. You got to create the circumstances that make having these children optimal, right? And how is that done? Well, that's done by being a strong, successful, competitive man, a chad, if you will. And how do you become a chad? Well, you become a chad by being, at your physical best, being at your psychological best, getting your money up, and being, let's say in your wise years, or at least on your way to your wise years, at the age of, I don't know, let's say 33 to 36 as a man. That's when you should think about family creation. Once you've built your value. Not before. Before you're working on building that value. That's the point, guys. That's the point. All right, let's continue.
Is that the most important?
But how you get there is very important because, once again, if you're broke, you can't help your family. And what's the point of having a family? You pretty much.
That's
like,
right.
To me, personally speaking, if you can't afford to raise a family, there's no point having a family.
I agree.
No, you're a bum like Chris. That's not cool, bro. Sorry, Chris. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Sneako, you're kind of like, men don't adhere to the same timeline that women do. Like, women have a finite amount of time to find a man. You know what I mean? Like, for you ladies that are in your mid-20s, 30s, etc., like, y'all need to like really rush and get pregnant and have a family. For us, bro, you can have kids until you're 40, 50, whatever it may be. And you might be a better dad at that age because you're more experienced, you have your money.
Mature.
You could put your kids in private school versus putting them in public. You can really, woman doesn't have to work, so she can stay and raise the kids. So I look at it like, okay, I might put off kids for 10 years, right? And I'm putting off the family, but I worked at it 10 years extra. Now my wife don't got to work.
Ooh.
Now my kids can go to private. Now
That's exactly, it's exactly my logic. It's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You have to invest the time. You invest the time to build the value to be able to have the family in the most optimal conditions. Exactly what I'm talking about. And you do that in order to maximize the success of your children in the future. That's exactly the point. Exactly the idea.
Now my kids have a driver. Now we're in the best neighborhood. Now I don't got to worry about shit. So is it worth it to have a family younger when I could have acquired more status and resources to give the children a better life?
Ladies,
I would say that 10 years is worth it because as a man, that you're not on that time clock.
ladies, real quick, what do you prefer? Having kids early on with your high school sweetheart, or having kids later on with someone that's successful and can take care of you and the family? What do you prefer?
Later on.
What do you prefer?
Later. Definitely later.
Later. On the between like now and 30s, like 27.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Wait, what?
So in between.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So the point is this. You as a man, let's say you're 35 plus, and you get with a girl that's optimally 18 to 23, maybe a little bit older, 25, 26, and then you have your family, and in that position, you can have, 2 to 3, maybe 4 children in a really stable arrangement, right? That's good for everybody. That's the point. That's the idea.
I think later, but also really depends on like where the man is too. Like,
So you want kids now?
no, but that's because
Again, if he's a rich, lucky young man, then, I mean, it's different, right?
also I can't talk. Like, it's not like there's a man in my life where I've met someone and I'm like, oh, I could have a kid.
What if you did? You want kids right now? Be honest. Don't cap. I'm watching you right now.
Me, I'm not in the position. I
Okay.
have other things.
What about you?
I would say later, but
Later?
with the right person, maybe soon.
For you?
Later.
For you?
Later.
For you?
Yeah. So the steps to creating legacy are the building blocks to my legacy. I will focus on myself and create wealth. Exactly. That's exactly the point. And when these girls say later, if these girls had access to a 35-plus-year-old competitive, successful, strong man, they would get married today if they had access to that. But they don't have access to that. And that's the point. The point is they need the stability in order to have the family. That's the difficulty of a man's life, right? The difficulty of a man's life is that he's got to work really hard in order to be a competitive, strong, successful man, such that the children that he has in the future can have the maximum amount of success. Women can just not eat a lot of McDonald's and not be idiots with their choices, and they can get a good life. There's a huge difference between men and women.
Oh, well, I basically waited till later. So
Yeah,
later.
you-
yeah.
no. You're
But I don't think he's explaining like to have it at a young age. Like I think he's explaining that it's just to have a family. I mean, it depends also what you guys consider of like what is being rich, what is being successful, having money. I mean, you could be a middle class man, find a good woman, and have a family.
It's not about finding just any woman who will stay with you and have a family. It's about finding an attractive woman who will be loyal and have a family with you. Two very different things. Exactly. That's right. It's how is this best described? It's an optimization of the process, right?
You know?
Middle class is pretty much gone.
Yeah.
Nowadays is the have or have nots. But what about you?
Later.
So ultimately, Sneako, you can see here on the panel, women prefer a mature, successful man that can take care of the family, not just someone that's going to be...
Sneako is really not comprehending that most men are invisible to most women. It's important to get your money to be visible to today's Western women. Yes, not only this, you need to be attractive, competitive, and successful, and then you're seen. Otherwise, you're invisible. Exactly right. And even then, she can screw you over, right? That's the problem. That's why most women in the West... They're not worthy for long-term relationships because of that.
Character build and what's the other one you said? More mature.
Good father. Good father.
Good father.
Good father.
So just saying.
Good father.
Yeah, but I talked to a lot of guys. Actually, Tristan Tate specifically said like he actually wished he had kids when he was younger. I think he had his first daughter when he was in his early 30s, and he said I probably should have.
He was successful, Sneako.
No, when he was 24, 25, he wasn't. They were broke until they were like 28. That's when they made their first million. They talk about all the failed business they've had. I've talked to a lot of fathers who at a certain point they're like, yeah, there's no reason why I shouldn't have had kids earlier. It actually like makes you become a better provider. You become more mature sooner. I've seen a lot of benefits to having kids young that isn't advocated. And I understand like you don't want to have kids with the wrong person, but it will build you as a man from what people tell me more than anything else. Like it gives you more responsibility. It gives you a bigger purpose in life. It's going to give you that extra motivation that
I better see what a kid.
Yeah, what Sneako is describing is literally exactly the tradcon mentality, right? It's, again, this is the old system. 100 years ago, 1923, this is exactly how people thought. You get married at, the girl is 18, the guy is 19. You get married then. You have children right away. You get your house, you work your job, and you sacrifice everything for your family. That's exactly the old system. The new system is women say, I'm strong, independent, I don't need no man. They sleep with 50 chads until they're 30. Then they want to get married and they want you to save them, right? That's the average Western woman. And because so many girls are working, wages have been halved. And so two people have to work in order to make the amount of money to make a stable family work, which you didn't need 100 years ago. But also, in order to get the kind of dynamic you want, to have the kind of family you could have 100 years ago, you as a man need to work twice as hard as a man used to have to. You need to work 1 job and a half, basically, or 1 job and 3/4 to make the kind of money you need to make in order to be successful in 2023 or more. Because of the way that the new economy works. In order to get the dynamics you want, that's how you have to do it. So it's really much harder for modern men than it used to be. Otherwise, you're invisible.
Get next year, nigga.
Facts. Shit. And I would argue, how many dads are deadbeats?
Yeah, a lot of them.
Many. So that point is mute because, bro, once again, that can be a possibility, but is it a probability? Is it really gonna happen? Who knows? It's up to fate. I'm just saying, personally speaking, your odds are better off.
Yeah, but the odds that the 19,000 people watching are going to become high-value men is as equal as they're going to become successful fathers. We say you need to become a high-value man. Why don't we say you should also become a high-value father?
Well, that is ultimately the goal. No, it's absolutely true. It's just the order of when this needs to be done, right? Don't have the children when you're not stable because it's more likely to lead to divorce, right? You need to first get stable, then have the family, then have the children, is the point. Stability first, and then. And here's the thing. When I say stability, I don't mean be a, beta box, save a girl from bad decisions. I mean be a strong, competitive, successful man. The kind of man that other men want to be and other women want to be with. That's the kind of man you need to be. And then have a family. So you need to invest your time working on yourself in order to achieve these things.
Right.
Because you become a high-value father from conquering other things so that when you come home,
that's
your
right.
dad, your son looks at you as the hero.
You don't think you could conquer and raise a kid at the same time?
What's that?
You can't conquer and have kids at the same time? Why not? Why do you need to go conquer the world before you have kids? Why can't the two?
Because it becomes very difficult for you to conquer the world while simultaneously being the best father. I think
that's right. It's a time management thing. Women and children take time, and because of that, if they take how many times can you say no to your kid before they're neglected? So what's going to happen is, if you have a child when you're younger and you're not successful, the wife is going to have to be a stay-at-home wife, but you don't have the stability to have a stay-at-home wife. You see? So while you're grinding and you have your wife there with the child, she's going to feel that she's doing more work than you are with regards to the child. And it's going to create severe discord in your relationship. Whereas later on, when you have lots of value, lots of money, you can just state, you need to stay at home and take care of the kid. my job where I'm making all of this value, all of this money, must stay afloat in order to continue this arrangement, right? Whereas before that, there's no stability. So your kid is growing up in bad conditions, right? While also you have to do the same amount of work. So it's simply a matter of putting off having children as a man until a bit later, right? Not when you're 19 to 25, but when you're 31 to 37. That sort of idea.
I think it's best to become that superhero, build it, then have the children, and they look up to you. So when your kid walks into a room, he's like, oh, you're such and such son. I look at it like that. Like, fuck, your kid shouldn't even be looking at like superheroes or athletes. They should be like, I want to be like my fucking dad. Like, that's how I look at it. And for you to be that guy, you have to build it first, man. It takes decades.
I mean, I thought of my dad as a superhero my whole time growing up, and he wasn't like high value, like extreme status with a bunch of Lamborghinis. He works a normal job, but I always looked up at him as a superhero because of like how he was in the home and how he was raising us. You don't have to be a conqueror to think of like to admire your dad and respect your dad. A lot of it is about the character and the way that they raise you. That was the most important thing. I always saw him as a superhero, but you know, he didn't conquer the world.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that's subjective, but I would argue in today's social media world with television and everything else like that, I mean, dude, it's very competitive. So I think as a man, you should build it, have the family, everything is established, castle's already built, it's good to go. Now, is it great and gratifying to build something with a woman and have children in the process and kind of figure it out as you go? That's great too. But I would argue in today's day and age with the economy getting worse, the nuclear family dying, the fact that inflation is a big thing, you need to make more money to survive. Like the days of figuring it out like the 1950s on one income are done, bro. Like if you don't have your shit together as a man and you're not providing, like your wife shouldn't even be working, in my opinion. I don't think your girl should work.
I'm inclined to agree, actually. Yeah, I actually agree entirely with Myron's perspective in this respect here. Now, of course, you can't put it off forever because at a certain point, you don't even have the energy to be a father, right? You probably can't put it off past 45. It's probably too late at that point, right? Like 40 at the latest for your first kid if you're a man. Latest, absolute latest. Anyway, times are different. Okay, we're going to end the video there. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit all for notifications. Drop me a donation like Hunter M, Adrian and Tom M. Just click more in the video description. Buy my books at bit.ly/heliosbooks. And go to my Patreon and subscribe, patreon.com/theheliosblog. Thank you so much, guys, for taking the time to listen to my video, especially if you listen to the end. I really do appreciate it. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.